Okay. Welcome to Broadcast to Badass by Best Life Ever with your host, Kimi Pua. If you're ready to stop struggling, stop hustling, and start living your best life ever, you are in the right place.
Today's episode is brought to you by Studio Headphones. These super slick headphones are revolutionizing the way people see headphones, not just as a tech device, but also as an accessory. Stick around for a discount code to get 15% off any purchase. And today we are going to talk all about morning routines.
Yay!
Is it ironic that I didn't do mine today?
It's perfect. Oh my goodness. Isn't everybody always talking about morning routines these days? I feel like every day online I see like 10 articles about morning routines.
Oh my gosh, they are. And the thing that's both equally fascinating and irritating about them is that I think they're so awesome. And I also get really envious of people, not envious, but I'm like, how do you people do so much before you start your day? Unless you start your day at noon, then that makes complete sense.
Yeah, I think today is going to be a little bit of busting some of the myths around morning routines and maybe a little sneak peek into what maybe actually happens in real life. And maybe a little bit about why are morning routines always talked about? What's important? What does help? What doesn't? And from all of this, then you can create whatever works for you for your best morning, best day, best life ever.
Totally. And I think we're especially fascinated by this because we believe so strongly in designing your life and creating a life that you live by design rather than by default. And part of, when we think about people who live by default, we think about people who just kind of roll through the day. They roll out of bed, brush their teeth, scramble into the car, go to the drive-thru for coffee, go to work. There's that kind of just letting your schedule dictate what you do and you just kind of scrape by versus people who are living very intentionally. And I think people who live with more intention tend to create routines in their life to kind of, it's like making your bed, right? Like so many people say, successful people, one of the things they have in common is most of them will make their bed in the morning because it's the first thing that you do. It's the first accomplishment that you have of the day. And it kind of starts this chain reaction, which I think is part of routines in general, morning routines, night routines, it doesn't matter. It's about the intention.
Mm-hmm. Do you make your bed?
Not every day.
Yeah, not every day for me too. But I definitely feel better when I do. I notice.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's
you
something.
got your shit together.
Right. And sometimes it's something that I'll come back to. Like if I have started my day and I feel a little discombobulated, I'll go and look and be like, oh, okay, maybe if I make my bed, it'll be like a reset for my morning. That's my little trick.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I think too, there's a lot of personality that's involved here. I always think about Gretchen Rubin and all of her work that she's done around habits and habit formation and just the different personalities and tendencies that we have. And for some people, morning routines are they're just, of course, they have a morning routine and it's very elaborate and they stick with it. They have no problem sticking to it at all. And then there are others that may find it a little more difficult to make things stick, or they have habits that they have to work really hard to undo or form new habits around. And yeah, so I think there's the whole spectrum here. And I think it's about figuring out what works for you, putting in the accountability if you need to have things stick, but also just connecting to what feels good for you and doing it because it matters to you, not to anybody else.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny. When I worked for another company and I had a set start time, I had a much more rigid and regular morning routine. And I think as an entrepreneur, especially someone who can work from anywhere, the flexibility of that has been challenging for me to really figure out what that looks like and what I want to do and how long I want to do it. And it's been really fun to experiment with what does feel good because there's all that freedom, right? So before, all I knew was that I had to go get my workout in And every morning I'd get up at the same time, I'd go to the gym, I'd work out so that I could be ready for work at whatever time I started. And there's something about, it's almost like you're too free, and you can try too many things, so you just don't try any of them. And it's been, how long have we been doing this? 4 years. I still don't have something that I don't have like a thing that I do every single day, which I actually kind of love.
That might be the rebel in you too, right?
Yes, I don't have to do this every day. But at the same time, there are things that if I don't do them every morning, I'm just not as on it. I don't feel as good. I don't perform as well. And I no longer feel guilty about it, but I definitely know there are things that I can do to make my day go better.
Yeah, you did a really great live in our Best Life Ever tribe on Facebook the other day about this. I would love for you to share, because it inspires me every time you talk about it. I'd love for you to share about the 3 M's that you do.
The 3 M's that I do that I didn't do today, so my brain isn't working.
Yes.
So my 3 M's are movement, meditation, and mindset. And I guess, do you want me to go through them?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay. So movement is like, that's the one thing that I think really helps me to get moving, especially if I have a hard time getting out of bed. I can just, like, if I do even 10 push-ups or just something small or walk around the block, it doesn't have to be a full workout. I usually end up, like, my brain starts to work a little bit better after that. And I even do this after I wake up from a nap. Anytime I feel super groggy, if I can get my blood flowing and force myself to move my body more than I would just kind of moping around the house, for some reason, it just really like fires me up. Also, if you drink coffee in the morning, or if you get that like afternoon crash, this can help too. And someone actually taught me this in high school when I was studying for a test and I was falling asleep. And they were like, just do a bunch of jumping jacks. Just do it. And you'll feel better. And I was like, you're crazy. And I did. I think I got up and I did 20 jumping jacks and I was right back at it. And so ever since then, I realized that movement is a great way to refire your brain if you need to use it. But the thing that I like to mention here also is that listening to your body is more important than trying to trick yourself into being into functioning, basically. So if you feel tired, 10 jumping jacks will only help temporarily, and you probably need a nap.
Sound advice.
But I mean, it's useful. And then meditation. See, I didn't move today. That's why. The meditation, I love talking about this because I used to hate talking about this. So meditation is something that I was always like, oh God, everybody says they meditate and I should meditate too. And I downloaded
You're shitting all over yourself.
Yeah, I shit all over myself. I do it all the time. And so, and everybody, it is like, everyone's like, oh, I never start a day without meditation. And so if you don't do it, like, everybody who doesn't meditate thinks they should, right? And then they're like, I don't get it. I don't want to do this. And so I would get all these meditation apps and I would, try to like make myself think about nothing. And I was just like, this is not working for me. And I realized, number one, I don't want to think about the things that these meditation app people are telling me to think about. I want to think about what I want to think about. And I want to think. I don't want to think about nothing. So now what
You're such a rebel. I love it so much.
Oh God.
I'm so fascinated by your brain.
so obnoxious. So now all I do, and actually Tara, our friend Tara Long, was the person who like got me thinking in this way. And all I do now is give myself 5 minutes of silence. And I let my mind wander. I let myself think about whatever I'm going to think about, but I unplug and I just sit and I'm quiet. And the coolest thing about this is this is when I come up with some of the coolest ideas or things that I forgot that I wanted to do, because I'm just with myself and my thoughts and not my phone. I'm not even like with anyone or anything. I just am with myself in silence. And so that to me has become one of the most important things that I do every day. And I did do this today, actually. So I lied. I did one of them.
I thought you were going to say that Tara told you about Insight Timer.
Oh, that's all her.
Okay, so our friend has met a guy on Insight Timer. Like, that's a thing. I actually have talked to other people that have started dating people that they met on Insight Timer, which is a meditation app, because it shows you, right, like who in your area you've been meditating with at the same time. So it's like this shared common bond, and you can connect and start chatting with each other on there. So I totally thought that's what you were going to say. It is. It's like, yeah, it's like Tinder for soul-based. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Go ahead. Third M.
Well, I guess I didn't say the reason why Tara taught me this was because we are part of a group called Shift to Rise, and we're hosting a retreat in April. ShiftToRise.com. Learn more about that. And we have these meetings every week. And one week we had 45 minutes into our meeting, Tara was like, let's just take a couple minutes and just be quiet and just, be in each other's energy, but don't say anything. And we'll just meditate a little bit. And in those 2 minutes, they were like the most productive 2 minutes of our whole meeting. We thought of all the things we didn't think about before, and we had so much clarity. So that was the day that I was like, oh my gosh, silence is so great.
Yes. Remember we used to always say sometimes what you need most is nothing?
Yeah. We had a whole episode on that. And then in that silence, I always kind of try to get my mindset in a badass mindset for the day. It's really all I do. I'm like, how can I be a badass today?
Oh, that is great.
And that's it.
I love that. You know what I also, what I think is so powerful about that is the way that it's linked to what you value most. So for you, you really value, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know you so well. And let me tell you what you value. You value brain power, right? I think we share that. We both value how our brain functions, and we value productivity. We value our business. And so all of those things are really deeply linked to, right? Like, okay, if I move, my brain's going to work better. If I have the right mindset, if I'm stepping into myself as a badass, right? So it probably helps you to stick with that, even at the simplest level, because it's so deeply connected to something that you treasure and value so much.
Totally. I thought you were going to say that I linked it to something that I do every day, which is a different
you can
morning
share about
habit.
that. Go for it.
So some mornings. Didn't start with an M, so I didn't include it. But I also have a daily gratitude practice. And one of our hacks, we always say if you want to create a habit, link it to something that you already do regularly. So I do my gratitude practice and my gratitude list while I'm on the toilet in the morning.
There you go. Link it.
You're welcome for that, gang. So, Kimi, what are your morning routines?
Well, I've been thinking about this. Okay, so we were asked this question recently, I think is also why it's top of mind. And I love being asked what our morning routine is because it makes us have to think about it, right? Like, what is our morning routine? And I definitely do feel that the way that you start your day is the way that you live your day is the way that you live your life. And I think that's why it's such a popular topic, because it really can determine the quality of your life, how you start your day. As Pua said before, I always remember when you talked about the bad day snowball? And that's what I think about when I don't start my day with a little bit of quiet. I feel like it's just like, like one thing rolls into the next, and you feel like it's like your day feels a little bit slippery, like it's getting away from you, which I will say is just a story, because I do firmly believe that at any moment you can reclaim your day, but there's something really powerful about starting your day connected and grounded to me. So whether it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, just having some quiet time before my day starts is like, if I don't have it, I just feel weird and a little discombobulated. And that can look like something as simple as just sitting on the couch with a cup of coffee or not, or just sitting there and breathing and sitting, just doing nothing. Or sometimes it can be like a more formal meditation practice. And so what I thought was my morning routine was this. I thought that I get up every morning and make my bed. And sometimes I'll step on a spunk. You know, the spunk. Remember the spunk?
Oh, yeah.
So I saw this online recently. This woman starts her day walking on the spunk to wake up her brain and her body. And I was like, wow, I never use my spunk because I never want to I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to lay on it. It takes so much time. Like I have it. It's always like just in the corner of my room getting dusty. And this is like
Mine is too.
This is like this acupressure mat, right? And it can help you to fall asleep. But then what happens is, this is probably, I don't need to go down this tangent, but I will. If I go to sleep on it, like I don't want to fall asleep on this bed of nails. And so then it like disrupts me falling asleep. And so anyways.
That is the exact struggle that I have with mine.
Right?
I won't use it because I don't want to fall asleep.
Exactly.
And then like wake up with a bloody back.
Exactly.
It won't happen. But
yeah. And so I found this new use for it that I've been doing now for a couple weeks that I love. And I have it now out in the living room. So I'll kind of like lopely like get up and just like a lumbering bear, like walk out of the bedroom and I just step on this pokey mat for like a few seconds. And it's so cool the way it just kind of wakes up my body and my brain a little bit. And it's weird that it's in the living room, like a little death trap for anybody that's going to walk by it because it's super sharp. But I love it. It's been this fun little way. So I thought that was my morning routine. I get up, I make my bed, I walk out, I step on the thing, I sit for maybe 5 to 20 minutes, just connecting to source and my infinite power. And then I do my gratitude practice and I get into my day. I make some bulletproof coffee or actually usually I do almond milk, like an almond milk coconut coffee type of thing. And I live my best life ever. Okay. So that's kind of like what I thought was happening. And then when I really looked at my day, this morning even, I was like, okay, actually I get out of bed, I'll step on that little thing. It hurts, but I do it. And then I deal with like a whole bunch of animal chores. Like the cats are meowing, so I like have to go feed them. This morning I cleaned up 2 piles of cat like hairballs or vomit. And then I went back out to like do the cat litter. And then I had to like wash my hands. And then I saw another spot on the rug that I had to wipe up. And then I went and I sat on the couch. But then my son got up. And so I was like, wait, this is not actually, I think it does not always go down the way I think it does in my mind. And that's
This is the best thing ever. This is what I wish everybody would say when they're like, what's your morning routine?
Right?
They're like, well, I wake up and I go to the gym and I run 10 miles. You're like, no, you don't. You clean up cat bark.
That's really what I do. And I realized that most mornings I actually start helping other people and dealing with other people's shit or animal shit, literally. And that's okay. And I still, though, it's like I still am having it in the back of my mind that, okay, once I get through all this, then I'm going to sit. And it's like still my priority to sit at least for a few minutes and ground myself. And this is the key before I dive into my email. So that is one pretty much like non-negotiable healthy habit that I feel like I have learned just in everything that we do. And that's to not dive into my work right away. Mm-hmm. And it's the hardest one because we love our work. We love it so much. But if I dive in without like getting myself grounded first, then I start feeling reactive to our work and irritable because I can't predict. Sometimes and it's hard, right? As an entrepreneur, because in your inbox could be like, oh, maybe it's a new client, or maybe it's like money that came through from something, or maybe it's a opportunity that we didn't see coming, right? There's all kinds of delightful surprises that could be in your inbox. However, there's also a whole shit ton of like stuff that may not be so fun, like a irritating thing you got to deal with, or like something that doesn't sit quite right, a weird email, a whole bunch of spam. Like you just don't know. Mm-hmm. And so is it worth it to gamble like that in the morning with your mood? Like that's what I ask myself. Like it is like gambling because you get that dopamine hit when you open up your email, right? It's like, what's going to be there? And Facebook is the same way. Social media is the same way. So what I've learned is just say no to gambling because it's never worth it. And that like exciting, fun thing that's in your inbox will still be there after you ground your energy and like connect to yourself and like, set yourself up and you're ready for it. And then it's even more enjoyable, frankly,
To me, it's almost worse. If it's exciting, you're going to want to jump on and respond to it right away.
Yes.
Whereas like the stuff that's not exciting, you can ignore it for a little bit longer.
Right.
And this totally makes me think of, so I do this hula competition every year, and part of the deal that we have when we go up as a group is we cannot have our phones. And it used to drive me crazy, and I used to cheat. And like, sorry, I totally interrupted you, but I just don't want to forget.
I'm so fascinated. I was like, keep talking.
What? And especially with social media now, like as technology has evolved over the 10 years that I've been doing this competition, it's been really interesting. But we forget, even I go on my phone in the morning sometimes. Like my alarm goes off and all I want to do is open something, whatever it is. And so it's kind of like a nice way to unplug. But it also used to drive me crazy. And I used to so we stay in a gym on like air mattresses and sleeping bags. So I used to go into my sleeping bag head first, turn on my phone, turn the light down and cheat. And then one year, and the whole reason behind it is they want us to be focused on the competition and to be present there with each other and really, uplift each other in the moment and all of that. So one year I went in my sleeping bag, I turned on my email and I turned on my phone and I got a text. So my company went through a reorg and people were getting fired left and right. My coworker sent me a text that goes, "Hey, I just heard what happened. Are you okay?" And I was like, oh my God, I lost my job. Oh. And I could not concentrate on anything, but I was too scared to open my email because I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't. But like I learned my lesson from then. Like I will never cheat while I'm at that competition again, but also like don't cheat in the morning. It's just not worth it. Because if you get something like that, how can you not jump into your work right away,
Right. Yes. You're going to want to deal with it. And then you're going to, it's like putting other people's priorities first too. Mm-hmm. And I used to struggle with this when the kids were little. I used to get into this like spiral where, I don't know if it's a spiral, but basically I would get up and I would take care of everybody else first. And this is still something that I have to work on because there are little bodies around and like animals and everybody, you can still see like I have that pattern in me, right? To take care of everybody else first. And so it takes mindfulness for me to remember that taking care of myself in the morning before I jump in and, take care of clients or work or whatever it else is so important for me. It's a statement really, right? It's like a statement of my value, my worth, what's important to me, designing my own life, all of that. So when I think about it in terms of that, it makes it a little bit easier.
Totally. Yeah, totally agree. Boom.
Hey, should we jump in right here and share a little secret code?
Secret code. Your guys are like, my ears. They're so naked. I want studio headphones. Do it. Click on the link in the show notes and use the code ALOHA, ALOHA. You get 15% off.
Woohoo! Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're thinking about your mornings, first of all, release all judgment around whatever's happening in your world right now, because we're always doing the best we can with the awareness that we have. And as you've heard today, like there are mornings that we are just like crushing our morning routines like badasses. And there are mornings where we're not. But I think that it's great to like just look at this, like everything else in life, as a super fun experiment to see what works and what feels good, and do a little research, figure out what I love researching, what other people's morning routines are like, what's working for them. Like I said, with the spunk thing, like that was a discovery because I think I watched a video about somebody's morning routine. This woman, by the way, oh my gosh, I can't remember who this was, but she's like a bulletproof ambassador, I think. And she starts her day with oil pulling. So she gets up, she makes her bed, she puts a bunch of coconut oil in her mouth, she swishes it around while she goes on her spunk. And it was like, well, like her morning routine was really elaborate. And I tried it. I tried the oil thing one day and I was like, nope, I experimented with it. That is not for me. Maybe I can try again another time. But, have fun with it, play around with it, add things in if it's not working. I think it's so important not to feel like you're failing at your morning routine. If you look at it as experimentation, as what feels right, as this unique opportunity to create your best life ever, whatever that means for you, then there is no failing at it, right? It's just you get feedback when something doesn't stick.
Or don't feel like you're stuck.
Yes.
Okay, so I said that this is my morning routine. I hate it, but I can't go back now. What are you talking about? It's yours.
Totally. And I think different days call for different morning routines too. To me, there are some days I will tell you that it is a luxury because I don't do it all the time. It's a luxury to grab my computer, sit on my couch, grab coffee, not meditate, and just sit there and dive right into my email. It can be fun sometimes. It's only when something becomes a draining, negative pattern that isn't fueling you that it's a problem.
Totally. Yeah. And if we think about this as super big picture, we are fluctuate. And yes, we operate really well under routines because we live in this world. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. We did a Shift to Rise training and we talked a little bit about kind of plans versus no plans and when structure is beneficial and when it's not. And we all experience the same 24 hours in the day. We can't change that amount of time that we have. And so to really make the most of the day and really live with passion and joy, it can be really beneficial to expand that time. You feel like what am I trying to say right now? You feel like the time is expanding because you're able to maybe get up earlier and start firing at that higher level rather than feeling slow and tired and lazy. But not to say that feeling slow and tired and lazy is wrong. So
Right.
Don't feel like you have to put yourself in a box, and also let yourself fluctuate because it's like workouts. I'm the kind of person where I like to try all sorts of different workouts, and for 6 months I'll really love this thing, and then I want to go to yoga, and then I want to try cycling, and it's just allowing yourself to be open to experimentation, as Kimi said, and reinvention. And this happens in business, especially entrepreneurs who start a business and then they decide to go a different direction and they decide to open another business. Or if you are in a career and you decide to change career paths, changing doesn't mean that you made a mistake or you chose wrong. It just means that at that time, this is what lights you up. And then you're smart enough to know that it doesn't light you up anymore, so you want to change. That's really elevated thinking. So go with what feels good and be open to trying new things and stopping the things that don't feel good anymore.
I love that. And also thinking about, almost seasonally about it in terms of what you value most right now in your life. And there's something to be said about creating time for yourself in the morning before the distractions of the world kind of set in, before decision fatigue and willpower kind of diminish throughout the day, right? Before you get decision fatigue and willpower sort of goes down. The morning time can be a really great time to dedicate even just a few minutes to whatever you value most right now in your life. So whether that's building your business, whether that's fitness, whether that's mindset, whatever it is that you value most, creating a little bit of time in the morning can be really, really powerful. And then as Pua said, when you value whatever it is that you're valuing, shift it and then put that in the morning. But it's a good opportunity before the world kind of starts getting its claws into you, I feel.
Totally. And we're super morning people. So morning routines are they're fun for us. We kind of geek out on it. And we can do another episode on evening routines and what we think we do in the evening and then what we really do in the evening. But
that's a great idea.
Right? And I think there are people who are definitely night owls whose morning routines are a little bit slower and sleepier, and then their night routine, that's when they do their meditating and mindset work and their personal development and maybe even some of their deep work, So it really, it's unique. And if you feel like you've tried the morning thing and it just doesn't work for you, don't force it, because you'll do it at another time of the day and it'll be perfect.
Right. There's no right or wrong, just what works for you.
Mm-mm-mm.
Awesome. Well, we would love to hear about your morning routine. Join us in the tribe on Facebook, bit.ly/BLE tribe. And let us know what your morning routine is. Or if you're not a morning person, let us know what your evening routine is. But I love your idea about doing an evening routine, because it's really funny, I think, to think about what really happens.
You can watch the live. Yeah, right. And you can watch the live I did in the car that everybody can't watch because they're so freaked out. I'm sorry, guys. If you're in the tribe and you were like, God, that was so terrible, I just want to say I arrived safely, and it just looked really bad because the holder on my phone, like my car holder, it shakes. So it looked like I was in an earthquake, or that I was like crashing into everything. But it's really safer than it looks, but I won't do it again.
I know. I mean, you looked very beautiful, and I love the content, but the mom in me is like, put that phone down, Missy. Focus on the road.
People were like, what? Like, okay, never mind.
Oh, man. Awesome, guys. Well, we will see you in the tribe. Be sure that you click subscribe. Oh my God, I'm like a poet. I thought that was going to be a rap.
And you don't know it.
We love
Keep
you guys.
going.
We'll catch you soon. I'm done.
Bye.